Hello everyone and welcome back to Carvenus 14. Now today we are going to be talking about Jinhsi once again in Wuthering Waves, and also one other thing. We're going to be talking about Cartethiya as well. Now, I know what I said in my most recent Wuthering Waves video about Cartethiya. It was literally me saying that Cartethiya looks really damn cool, but I'm not pulling for her because Jinhsi. Now, do I redact that statement? Yes. But I'm not replacing Jinhsi with Cartethiya. That's not what I'm doing. Instead, I've thought of an idea last night during, well, just before I went to sleep, actually. So the idea was this. Jinhsi Cartethiya quick swap. And I know what you're thinking.
May I pray
That
for
is
anything
very
specific for you?
ambitious,
It would be
considering
my
we don't
honor.
even know what Cartethiya's actual gameplay looks like. I mean, yes,
I'm
we saw
sure your
Fleur de
wishes will
Lis's
come
stuff,
true.
but we don't actually know what else she does. We don't know Cartethiya's resonance skill or her full regular attack chain, and we don't even know if, we don't even know about her forte circuit or anything else, right? And who knows? Cartethiya might have had more attacks within her actual. Fleur de Lis might have actually had more attacks within her, within her normal attack
May I
string,
pray
but
for anything
obviously it might
specific
not
for
have been
you?
shown.
It would
It
be
looked
my
like four
honor.
basic attacks there, but maybe there might have been a fifth one. Who knows? So
I'm sure your wishes will
really
come
don't know, and
true.
we don't know the specific mechanics of Fleur de Lis either. Like, is she going to be one of those characters that has a meter that she drains during her Fleur de Lis stance, or does she have to build up a meter in her Fleur de Lis stance to then do the massive nuke, which scales up on how much meter she's built, or something like that? We have no idea, right? All we saw was just how cool the gameplay looks. But I am kind of anticipating the fact that
May I pray for
Cartethiya
anything
will be quick
specific for you?
swappable,
It
because
would be
it
my
seems
honor.
as though Cartethiya's main source of damage is in her Fleur de Lis mode,
I'm
right?
sure your
Meaning
wishes will come true.
that she's kind of like Jinhsi in that way, that both those sentinel resonators have a burst window, right? Or a period of time on the field that they deal damage. And that period of time is actually looking to be quite short, right? Like Fleur de Lis with, Fleur de Lis could very well be like Jinhsi, right? Jinhsi only has 4 basic attacks when she's in her incarnation mode, and once those basic attacks are done, she's got Jue's laser beam. And once Jue's laser beam goes off, that's it for Jinhsi. She has to go off field
May I
and
pray
wait for
for
her
anything
cooldowns to come
specific
back
for
on,
you?
right?
It would be
Fleur de
my
Lis
honor.
might very well be the exact same kind of character. Someone that can only really
I'm
do
sure your
damage in her
wishes will come
burst
true.
window rather than her her regular actual player, her actual, like, her Cartethiya form, basically. So Cartethiya might be one of those characters where their Cartethiya form is like the setup form or something, and then the Fleur de Lis form is basically the actual damaging form, right? Yeah. So Jinhsi is, well, she's not really a setup character. Everyone else does the setup for her. Jinhsi just comes onto the field, does her stuff, and then leaves, right? So, yeah. However, with Cartethiya and Fleur de Lis, Cartethiya might have some form of, self-sufficient capabilities of applying aero erosion or something, and then Fleur de Lis maybe can amplify the aero erosion even more, or maybe uses those aero erosion stacks to do something else. Who knows, right? Yeah. Now, of course, she is going to be an aero erosion DPS because number one, Chirconia's release just before Cartethiya signals something, and we also got her actual element during her drip marketing as well. She has the aero symbol underneath her name. That's where. So, yeah. Cartethiya very much will be an aero erosion unit, and also the rover having some aero erosion built into them as well. It also signifies something. So, yeah. If you think about it, Cartethiya as well as Jinhsi could work
May I pray for
decently
anything
well
specific for
together,
you?
right?
It would be
Especially if they're
my honor.
both going at it with their damage windows, within their damage windows, right?
I'm sure
Jinhsi in
your
her
wishes will come
incarnation
true.
mode and Cartethiya in her Fleur de Lis mode, right? Now, of course, we don't actually know if we'll be able to swap off Fleur de Lis during her actual, Fleur de Lis mode, right? if we won't know if we're able to swap off of Fleur de Lis onto other characters, or if we swap off from Fleur de Lis and then back onto her, will she still retain the Fleur de Lis form, or will she revert to the Cartethiya form? We have no idea. It's actually one of the reasons why Jinshi Quickswap is actually quite viable, because Jinshi has the ability to retain whichever basic attack she left off on, right? Meaning, if you do her first two basic attacks in her incarnation state, and you swap off a Jinshi, go onto another character, then come back onto Jinshi, Jinshi won't reset her incarnation basic attacks. She'll actually just carry on from her third one, then do her fourth one, and then Jue's laser beam. Right? That's what makes Jinshi very, very viable for quick swap teams, because there's no real loss in damage. She doesn't delay herself either, right? She just carries on from where she once was. That's why quick swap Jinshi is actually not a bad idea. The only reason quick swap Jinshi isn't as good as hypercarry Jinshi is because Jinshi does have some parts of her kit that do kind of want you to play in a hypercarry team. Mainly her S3, which requires you to do 2 intro skills, right? And with Quick Swap, you're not really introing that much, right? Yeah, so her S3 and also her signature weapon also requires you to do intro skill. So, yeah, you're not really intro skilling a lot with Quick Swap teams. So, that's something that might actually not be as applicable with Jinshi within the Quick Swap team. But honestly, that's really not a big deal. Because, unlike hypercarry teams, Quick Swap teams rely on 2 DPSs doing damage rather than the 1 DPS, right? And for those of you that do have Jinshi, every single one of you know the biggest flaw that Jinshi has. For some reason, Jue is as inconsistent as
May I pray for
the
anything
fact that
specific for you?
your
I defend
exams
my
feel
honor.
good but do really badly. That's how Jue feels. You feel like you walk into
I'm
an exam,
sure
you do
your
it
wishes
really
will come
well,
true.
and then you get the result, and it's like, well, okay, then I guess I'll just off myself at this point, because what was that, right? You know, that's what Jue feels like. You set everything up perfectly, laser beam, and then you don't crit, and it's like, well, god damn it. You just lose all the momentum, lose the will to live, lose the will to play the game, and want to die. That's how bad it feels when you miss a critical strike on Jinshi. And mind you, my Jinshi has 73% crit rate. Okay, so it's definitely not ridiculous. It's not stupid low, but it's not ridiculously high either. In fact, it's above average, right? It's above average for what you want with Jinshi. You definitely want at least 75% crit rate with Jinshi, but you use Jue's laser beam and you just don't critically strike, and it's like, why am I still here? Just to suffer? Like, it's honestly one of the worst feelings in the world. So, yeah, for those of you that
May I
do
pray
have
for
Jinshi,
anything
you guys
specific
know what
for
I'm
you?
talking about.
I
It's one of the most
defend my
awful
honor.
feelings. But with hypercarry Jinshi, relying on
I'm sure your
relying on
wishes will
one
come
DPS
true.
does have that problem. But quick swap quick swap Jinshi with Cartethiya, that does have some merit, because we have Cartethiya doing damage, and we'll also have Jinshi doing damage as well. And both of their windows for damage seem to be quite quick. Jinshi can get all of her damage off within 8 seconds, maybe an extra 2 seconds, so 10 seconds for her burst if we take that into account. Fleur de Lis, no idea how long Fleur de Lis seems to take, but she seems to be around the same 8 seconds, maybe a little bit longer as well, because of her, because of her longer animations when it comes to her liberation. Yeah. But honestly, it's definitely a viable strat, at least from what we've gotten so far with Cartethiya. So, a double Sentinel quick swap team with Jinshi and Cartethiya would be a very, very interesting thing to see and do. But who would the third character
May I
be?
pray
Well,
for
it would
anything
probably be
specific
something
for
like
you? I
Verena or
defend my honor.
Shorekeeper, or, heck, Arrow Rover or something. But I wouldn't
I'm
recommend Arrow
sure your
Rover
wishes
for
will
the
come
fact that
true.
Jinshi kind of has a problem, which we are going to get onto. As you all know, Jinshi is probably one of the few characters that has a difficulty of not being able to get coordinated stacks very well. Number one, it's not true. It's obviously very, very false. And some people think that Jinshi is tied to coordinated attackers. Jinshi is not tied to coordinated attackers. Very
May I
important
pray
point
for
here to
anything
make, guys.
specific for
She's
you?
not
It
tied
would
to
be my
coordinated
honor.
attackers at all. Jinshi prefers coordinated attackers because they stack up
I'm
her
sure
forte
your wishes
circuit
will come true.
very well, right? Much better than other people, right? Or other characters that don't have that don't have coordinated attacks. I don't know if you guys have actually seen there's this video by a YouTuber named It's Senpai. He actually did make a video talking about a Jinshi with Jinshi Brant hypercarry team. Yeah, so it's basically Jinshi and Brant. Brant was supporting Jinshi effectively. So yeah,
May I
and
pray for anything specific
Jinshi
for you? It would be
was
my
actually
honor.
able to get full forte stacks most of the time, right?
I'm
Yeah.
sure your
So
wishes will come
Jinshi
true.
isn't helpless when there's no coordinated attackers on the team. She is quite strong, right? And of course, with Fleur de Lis having an aero erosion type of thing within her kit, which it kind of makes sense if she does, because Sheakonia coming out, who will be in the second phase right before Cartethiya's banner, and then we've also got the Aero Rover with aero erosion built into them as well. It only makes sense that Fleur de Lis is going to have aero erosion built into her kit. Now, just to let you
May I
know,
pray for
things like
anything
aero erosion
specific
and
for you?
spectrofrazzle
It would
don't
be
count
my
as
honor.
coordinated attacks. They're technically considered damage over time effects, not coordinated attacks,
I'm
because
sure your wishes
they're
will
not
come true.
really attacking they're not, because they don't fly out of somewhere and attack an object. That's what a coordinated attack is, right? It's a damage over time effect. But Cartethiya could probably, apply some form of aero erosion, right, or something like that, onto the opponent, and then maybe swap off, and then you can probably still get a decent amount of stacks from for Jinshi's Forte circuit. If you have Jinshi's S2, it's even better as well because you won't need to go through the initial setup for Jinshi. So having S2 on Jinshi definitely makes it a lot easier to play Jinshi quick swap, I believe. Yeah, well, not quick swap specifically, but it just makes her a lot easier to play with the fact that you just don't have to go through the entire setup straight away. So yeah, another reason Jinshi Quickswap works quite well is because of the fact that her I don't know where it is. I think it's the
May
unison
I pray for
mechanic that she
anything
has.
specific for you? It would be my
Yeah, the
honor.
unison mechanic. Yeah, there we go. So the unison mechanic is basically when Jinshi has unison, which if you guys don't know what that is, basically after Jue's laser beam, right, Jinshi will trigger unison. And what that means is if Jinshi, it doesn't matter which stage, where her concerto energy is, if it's halfway filled, quarter, not filled, or wherever, it doesn't matter how much energy she has in her concerto bar, she can swap off and activate her outro skill regardless. And that's what makes Jinshi her unison thing very, very good for quick swap teams because she can just activate outros very fast, right? Yeah, she can actually activate outros every single rotation, right? It'll go on from unison as a start, then it will be her concerto bar, then it will be unison again, then her concerto, then unison, then concerto. So every single time she's done with Jue's laser beam, she'll just be able to trigger a concerto straight away, right? Yeah. So you could just swap between, Fleur de Lis and Fleur de Lis and Jinshi very efficiently, especially with Jinshi's side because she just has access to her outro skill every single second, which is really good because you trigger her outro skill, that gives Jinshi a much easier method of applying gaining incandescent stacks for her Forte circuit. So yeah, now of course this is all just speculation at the end of the day, because we have zero idea what Fleur de Lis even does. Well, she's a DPS, she's aero erosion, but that's about it. We have no idea about Cartethiya's regular basic attacks. We have no idea about her Forte circuit. We have no idea about her resonance skills in either of those forms, because most likely there will be resonance skills in both of the forms. There's probably also a Forte circuit for both of the forms as well. Or there might just be one where Cartethiya has to build something up in her Cartethiya form, and then Fleur-de-Lis consumes it in her Fleur-de-Lis form, right? So, yeah, we have no idea what kind of mechanic goes on over there. So, yeah, we really have no idea what Fleur-de-Lis and, Cartethiya mainly does in her gameplay. So, to say that Jinhsi and Cartethiya quick swap
May I
might
pray for
actually
anything
be a
specific
really
for
good
you?
idea
It
is
would be
a
my
massive
honor.
pipe dream because, like I said, we have zero idea what Fleur-de-Lis does.
I'm sure
But
your
this
wishes will come
video is
true.
mainly made as a speculation, as my own speculation to what could be capable or what could be possible with Cartethiya and Fleur-de-Lis. Hopefully, Kuro do actually give us more official leaks, as everyone's calling it now, which I think is a really good way of saying it, because it is kind of like a leak video, but just done officially. So hopefully we do actually get more official leaks from Kuro themselves, basically going over different aspects or parts of her kit, right? Maybe how she interacts with enemies and things like that, because leaks definitely do destroy the community, and there's a lot of people that don't like them, but leaks definitely have the, you could argue that leaks keep people hyped, right? They keep people excited for a character that's coming out in the future because they're like, okay, this character looks really damn cool. I can now start saving up for them, you know. So it generates a lot of hype, a lot of, you know, attention around that character. But of course, it's not really nice to have something spoiled for you, no matter how insignificant it is. So yeah. But these official leaks would definitely be a really good way of, you know, promoting characters and marketing them. So hopefully Kuro do them more often rather than Cartethiya just being a one-off, because I do want to see more official leaks of Cartethiya because her gameplay looked really cool. I'm going to be honest, with that 30-second clip that we got. That was probably one of the coolest 30 seconds anyone has ever watched, right? So yeah, I can't really wait to see more about Cartethiya. But we have to wait until the 11th of June because 2.4 isn't coming out until the 11th of June, and we're probably going to be getting the live stream on like the 1st of June or something. So yeah, at least I'm predicting it's going to be around there. So yeah, but anyway, guys, that's basically been the video. So just really just a quick video, or a short video, well, relatively short for my own timing. Yeah, but it's basically just been a short video on how Jinshi and Cartethiya could probably work together, provided the stars do align. Because remember, Jinshi is very quick swappable. You can definitely run Jinshi in a quick swap team, and it would not be a bad
May I
idea. It
pray
wouldn't
for
even be a
anything
troll
specific
idea,
for you?
right? Because
It
the
would be
dual
my
DPS
honor.
setup with Jinshi, who's just so easy to play and easy to quick swap, with the fact
I'm
that she just
sure your
doesn't
wishes
reset
will
her
come
basic
true.
attacks at all, in incarnation mode, and her short rotations as well with her, you know, incarnation states. Yeah, that's what makes her so quick swapper friendly, right? Yeah, but who knows? We still don't know that. We really don't know all that much about Cartethiya and Fleur-de-Lis, right? If we swap off Fleur-de-Lis in Fleur-de-Lis's form,
May I
will
pray
she
for
go back
anything
to
specific
Cartethiya's
for
form
you?
when we swap back
It would
onto
be
her,
my
or
honor.
are we even allowed to swap off of Fleur-de-Lis's form, or like how does that work
I'm
basically?
sure your wishes will
Hopefully
come
that's not
true.
the case. Hopefully we can swap off from Fleur-de-Lis's form onto other characters and then go back on, because that would definitely open up a very unique quick swap playstyle that she has. Yeah. But yeah, guys, that's basically been the video. I have been Carvenus14 and Stalam, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you all very soon. Goodbye.